Alright, so in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to import a full league with multiple teams and let's say many players using a zip file. Alright, so in order to do that, let's click on or tap on top right settings menu, and here you can see, let's look real quick, we have a default let's say league called scrimmages, practice, pickup games, non-league games. Alright, so let's say if you're just doing a pickup game, you want to do some stats, then it's a good category to select that, league is for, let's say, just for scrimmages. Alright, but when you're doing, let's say, a league and you want to separate the stats, okay, then tap on leagues here. And again, here's the default league called scrimmage. And we can manually create a new league using the form built into the app. Alright, and this is fine if you want, but this tutorial I'm going to show you how to import a league and all the teams using a zip file. Alright, so in order to do that, let's look at an example zip file first. So to get the template of the zip file, tap on import zip and tap on see example, and you can email yourself the example. Alright, so let's email it to Alright, so once you've emailed it to yourself, let's open up our web browser and go to our email on our computer. Alright, so now that we have our unzipped folder uploaded onto Google Drive, we can click into the folder and see all of the CSV files, again, of the team, the teams, the schedule, and the league information itself, and finally a folder of all the photos of the teams and the players. Alright, so the convenient thing here, if you're working on Google Drive, is you can open, let's say, a CSV file directly in Google Sheets if you need to edit it. Alright, so for example here, open it up in Google Sheets. But that's not the point of this tutorial. If you need to see what a team CSV file looks like, I'll put a link in the description below on how to create these team CSV files. But the point of this tutorial is how can we import in bulk all these CSV files that, let's say, the teams email all these CSV files to you, and then you can zip it up in a zip file and import it in bulk into the app, which saves a lot of time. Alright, but the important thing to note here is the CSV files need to be in this file name format here. It has to start with a capital T, team underscore team name. Alright, and the team name after here is not really important. It doesn't have to match the team name in the file itself, but just make sure, of course, you don't have two team name files that are the same, because the system wouldn't let you do that anyway. What we haven't gone over is what a schedule CSV file looks like and a league CSV file looks like. So let's do that in this tutorial right here. So let's open up the schedule CSV file. And this would allow you to create schedules for your league. Again, you can create the schedule in the app itself. Alright, but if you just want to work with CSV files and just import things and get things done quickly, then this is how you can create a schedule using the CSV format. Again, CSV format is just a comma separated format, if that means anything to you, but you can open that format in programs like Google Sheets and Excel. So here is the schedule CSV file, and the first row is just some labels for the information you need to fill in, and the second row and beyond are your different games. Alright, so the first column is the date of the game. Again, it has to follow the format month, day, then year. I know that internationally some countries does days first, then month, but make sure you put month, day, then year. Alright, followed by the time. Alright, so you can use PM AM here if you're doing, let's say, the US traditional way in the US of defining times, or you can put in a 24-hour format if you want. For example, let's say 1900 for 7 o'clock if you want. All right, but make sure you stay consistent. All right, next here is the team name. And this has to match. Make sure this matches the actual team name that was imported in the CSV file, or else it's not gonna link up, you know, the proper team to the schedule. All right, here is, let's say, home score. Let's say if this game was completed, then you can enter that in here if the game, you know, was finished. All right, but we're going to leave it blank because this game has not been played yet. All right, next column here is the away team name, followed by away score if the game was completed, where the game is going to be played, the name of the division for, let's say, this game. So let's say, you know, if we can imagine the NBA here, we have, you know, the East and the West, all right? So the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing the Chicago Bulls, then that would be the East Division, all right, for this game. But for the simple case here, you can leave that empty, all right? This is not really that important, so I wouldn't worry about it. This is gonna, let's say if you separate your teams into divisions, then the scheduler, we have an automatic game scheduler, is gonna schedule the games based on division, interdivision play, and whatnot. So basically it's used for that, but if you're manually creating a schedule, then this field, you know, you can put it in if you want or leave it empty. All right, next here is the game type. All right, so in season games, just put season. If it's a playoff game, put playoffs here. All right, and finally, the last two columns here, if it is a playoff game, you can put in the round number, and then let's say best of 3 or 5 or so on. Okay, but let's just focus on the season games here. The playoffs can get, you know, kind of more advanced. I'll maybe make a separate tutorial just specifically on playoffs and playoff brackets, but let's just focus on the season games here. All right, so you can fill out your schedule in that manner. All right, save it, okay, and then put it into your zip file. And then let's look at finally, now be careful, okay? So when you're editing in Google Sheets, all right, when you save it, sometimes it's going to save into the, if you look at this thing here, it's a green icon, not a blue icon. And it saved it into the Excel format. And again, our program cannot import in Excel files. So, real important note, let's go back. All right, open with Google Sheets. Okay, so after you've made your edits to your schedule, really important whether you're using Excel or Google Sheets, make sure you save it as a CSV file or download it as a CSV file. All right, by default, it's gonna do Excel and it's not gonna overwrite that CSV file that you have existing. So make sure you export it as a CSV file and then put it back into your zip file. All right, I'm not going to do that here. All right, but real important. Okay, so you can see it created 2 different Excel files here that you can use to edit the information, but when you actually try to import it into the app, make sure it's a CSV file. All right, and then finally, let's look at the league CSV file itself. And the league CSV file, I would say for the simple example here is, fairly simple. First row is just the labels for the information you're going to fill out. Second row here is the league name, is going to be the first column. A league can have multiple seasons, so the name of the current season. All right, and the email of the league, email address, you can just put in a point of contact email address here. Or again, if you don't want to put a real email address, you can put in something followed by example.com. But the league is going to be uniquely identified by this email address in combination with the name of the league itself. So this will, let's say you have 2 leagues with the same name, this is how it's going to differentiate the 2 different leagues. Phone number, website, start date, phone number and website is optional. That will be on the league's profile page in case in the future your players can see the contact information of the league. The start date here is important if you're going to use the automatic game scheduler. Okay, you can put the start date of the league, month, day, then year. And finally, you skip a row. Okay, make sure you follow this format specifically like this, or else it's not going to import properly. Skip the 3rd row. 4th row is just a label, teams, then email. Then from the 5th row and beyond is where you fill in each of your teams, okay, in your league. So this should match, the names here should match the names in the CSV file of the team itself. So here we have a league with Sharks, Wolves, Lions, and Bulls, followed by their email address here, which uniquely identifies them in the system. Alright, so that's our league file. Alright, so again, let's say you're making a new league and you want to bulk import everything into the app very easily. Then you would make all those files, okay, put it into a folder, zip it up, alright, then let's say email it to yourself, and then download that zip file on your phone, and then you can import all of it in bulk into the app. So let's go back to the app and look at that. Alright, close this browser, and we are back in the app. Alright, we are back in the app, and I'm going to go to leagues, import zip. Now we're going to proceed to select our zip file that we have created. Alright, tap on that zip file, and it's going to start importing all your teams and all your players. Alright, so traditionally in the past, the league organizer might have had to enter all this information manually. Or if you do it through the phone interface here, enter all the players, teams manually, it can take a long time. Alright, so I recommend using the zip file to import your league in bulk. So there you go. The Simple League was the name of our league, is imported. You can see there's the photo of the league that was in that photos folder of the zip file. Again, the name of the file has to be the email address of the league, -- followed by the name of the league. And if the name of the league has, let's say, white spaces in it, then you just put single dashes for the white spaces. Alright, so let's look at the teams here. So there you go, the teams have been automatically imported with the team logos as well. And the players, there you go, the list of the players. This league has 43 players that we just imported in a matter of seconds. Alright, and let's look at the game schedule. So there you go, there's the game schedule that we imported with that schedule CSV file. And there you go. So that's the example, let's say, of the simple league. But let's look at the advanced league. All right, the advanced league will show examples of how to separate the teams by division. And this is important if you want to automatically schedule the game. So the app has an automatic scheduling feature to create a schedule for you, and that's where divisions come into play. Alright, so here is the contents of the more advanced version of the zip file. Let's say if you have divisions primarily, then I'm going to show you here how to create divisions, and then we're going to show you how to do automatic game scheduling within the app. Alright, so let's look at the team CSV files first. So the more advanced version of a team CSV file is going to define the division that the team plays in. So let's open this with Google Sheets. Alright, so pretty much the CSV file looks pretty much the same, but you're going to define division here. Alright, so let's say your league is separated into East and West, and then let's say within East you have Central, let's say, I don't know, Northeast, and whatever. Okay, so how you define the division field here is the parent division followed by a / followed by, let's say, the child division within the parent division. Okay, so that is how you fill in the more advanced version of a team CSV file here. It's all the same, except you fill in the division here. Alright, so let's go back. And the next difference with the more advanced version of the zip file is your league CSV file is going to define divisions and separate the teams into divisions. And a few more, advanced things here. So the second row here is still the same. It's the league information, the league name, alright, the season name. Again, in the future you can have multiple seasons in the same league. The league email address, phone number, website of the email, if needed, optional, just for, let's say, your players to know. And the start date of the league, very important here for the automatic scheduler to know when to start scheduling games. Alright, skip a row. And then in the more advanced version here, you're going to define the days that your league plays. Alright, so the fourth row here is just labels. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, and then the fifth row is where you actually fill in the information about, which time slots your league plays on the various days. So let's say here, column B in row 5, on Monday, let's say on Monday, we rent a gym, and for Monday, let's say we have 2 courts, alright, one court starts at 7 p.m. and the other court also starts at 7 p.m. So here we put in 7 p.m. 2 times. So these are the time slots of your games. Alright, all the time slots of your games. So we have 2 time slots at 7 p.m. and then let's say on Monday we also have 2 time slots at 8:30 p.m. Okay, the start time of the game. Alright, so again, the fifth row here is where you define the time slots that your league plays on each day. So let's say on Tuesday you don't play. Let's say on Wednesday you just have 2 time slots, 8:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. On Friday, let's say you have 2 time slots at 6 p.m., 2 time slots at 8 p.m., and then let's say you cap it off with 1 time slot at 10 p.m. Really late game on that day. Alright, so make sure you fill in the fifth row with your time slots. In this particular format, you can do AM, PM, or 24-hour time format if you want. Sixth row here is the location information for each of the days. So let's say on Monday you might play at ADB Arena. On Wednesday you might play at BT Court. On Friday you might play at Staples Gym. Okay, and this is optional, but it will show in the schedule where the location of the game is for that day. Alright, and then on the 8th row here is just some labels that will define how we're going to fill in the following rows. Okay, so row 9 and on are going to define our division names, our various divisions. Okay, so the very first, let's say, division is your main league that covers all the divisions, and this division is, I believe, called Interleague by default. All right, and what you're going to put in column C here is how many interleague games you want each team to play. And interleague games are games where a team from one division is going to play a team from another division. And so in here we're saying that we only want one game, or let's say matchups per team, sorry. Okay, so let's say if the Bulls are on the East and the Cavaliers are on, or sorry, no. Let's say the Lakers are on the West. Okay, then in your season, if you put one here, then the Bulls are only going to play the Lakers, or sorry, Cleveland Cavaliers are only going to play the Lakers one time. All right, if you put two here, you're going to play two times. All right, so that's interleague play. All right, next here is, let's say, your parent app. You have your main league. Then below that is East and West. East and West. Okay, so here we're going to define, let's say, all the teams within the East will play each other at least one time as well. All right, and we're going to seed the playoffs. Let's say the top 8 teams in the East are going to make the playoffs. All right, next here we're defining the lower divisions within the East Division. So we have Atlantic, Central, and Southeast. And each team will play each other at least 2 times within those divisions. Okay, so this is becoming more advanced here, but if you want to take advantage of the, game scheduler, then you would fill this information out. All right, if you will make your schedule yourself, then you don't need to fill this out. All right, and we'll do the same thing with the West side here, as such. Okay, so once you get used to this format, it might be more clear. It might seem kind of weird at first, but again, if you fill this out properly, it's gonna schedule all your games for you, which may save you a lot of time. All right. So you can have, depending on your league, however many divisions, but then you skip a row, and then the next row here, you're going to define your labels for your, following rows, which will be your team names. Okay, and then from there on is the same as the simple example that we showed before. First column here is all your team names, followed by their email address, and then here we're going to enter in which division they're in. All right, so you want to define the lowest level. All right, so East/Atlantic, for example, East/Central, for example. All right, because teams will be categorized at the lowest level. All right, you won't have a team just in the East Division. They have to be separated in the lowest level that we defined. All right, so assuming you filled that all out properly, okay, let's go back to our zip file. Again, I'm going to do a disclaimer here, is that with the CSV files and the zip files, you're having the extra convenience of being able to bulk import all of this information very quickly. Okay, but the double-edged sword here is if you enter the format wrong, or let's say if you're not using a CSV file but an Excel file, if you make a little mistake like that, it's not going to import into the application properly. Okay, so if you're going to do zip file and CSV files, make sure that you follow these formats very specifically as shown in the templates. Okay, so assuming you have all of that, all your teams, all your players, all right, zip it up, all right, email it to yourself, and then download it into the app. All right, and let's switch back to the app now. Switch back to the app and go to Leagues, import zip, all right, and proceed to select zip, and we're going to import the advanced league zip file now. And depending on how fast your phone is, if you have one of these newer phones, it may be pretty quick, but if you have a older phone, this might take a while, okay? Because there's, in this example, there's 24 teams and hundreds of players. All right, so we're gonna tap on that and just wait for that to complete. It's gonna show you how many teams it has imported and how many players. Give you a status of the time, elapsed time here. This phone here that I have for this tutorial is not particularly new, but you know, you can tap import and go drink a soda or something and then come back. Alright, so one thing you may have noticed, in the advanced zip file we did not have a schedule file, and the reason for that is we want the program to automatically schedule the games for us. In the simple zip file we had an example of how we manually define the schedules ourselves, but here we don't have a schedule file in the advanced zip file, so it's going to ask us here, no schedule detected, would you like to automatically schedule games for you? So let's click yes. And again, depending on how fast your phone is, this could take maybe a minute. For a fast phone, pretty quickly. Okay, so here you can see it already created 100 something games for us. It's all the combinations, all the permutations of all the matchups, right, automatically done for you. Right here, it's organizing the schedule. You don't see it. It created the games, and then it's going to organize the schedule to try to evenly distribute the games. And there you go. Okay, so we imported our advanced league. Okay, there's the photo of our league using the photos that we put into the photos folder of the zip file. Okay, and let's swipe this down. Let's close this. Let's open it back up. Just a little quirk here, but okay, so here is our advanced league. Tap on that. And let's look at the teams. So there's all the teams that it imported. Total of 24 teams. Alright. So if you manually had to enter all this in the app, in the phone using your thumbs, that may take you like quite a few hours there. But the zip file does it all for you automatically, including the photos of the teams. Alright, let's go to players here. And there you go, there's all the players. And in this league in particular, we have 204 players. So again, if you had to manually enter this into the phone, that might have taken days if you broke up the session there. But again, you can save a lot of time if you have the teams email you their roster, their team information and roster in that CSV format. Have each of the teams email you that. Okay, then you put it into the zip folder. Okay, zip it up, and then you can import it all in bulk into the app. All right. So with that said, let's go to games. Okay, so here is our schedule. All right, so you can see that on Friday we had 2 time slots at 6 p.m. We had 2 time slots at 8 p.m., 1 time slot at 10 p.m. All right. The odd one out here is we said our league started on May 1st, so there's one game on May 1st there. By coincidence, May 1st fell on a Thursday, which we didn't define as one of our days, so that's why it has just one game on that day. But if you were going to make things accurate, you would put a start date that is actually on a game day defined in your league CSV file. All right, so on Monday we had 2 time slots at 7 p.m., 2 time slots at 8:30 p.m. On Wednesday we had, we have 1 time slot at 8:30 p.m. and 1 time slot at 9:30 p.m. So it automatically filled in all these games for you with all the different permutations of the matchups. And in the last column here on our schedule, it will show you which division that game is in. So let's say this first game here is in the East Atlantic Division. Next game is in the East Central Division. It's going to automatically distribute the schedule for you. And if you look at later in the season, it's going to start doing these higher level division plays where within a division, let's say within East, we're going to play some of these East games. Let's say the Eagles versus the Thunder. Let's say the Eagles were in the, look real quick here. The Eagles were, let's click into here, okay? Click into here, and you click on the Eagles themselves. Okay, the Eagles are in the East Atlantic Division. All right, and the Thunder are in the East Central Division. Okay, so they're in different, let's say, lower divisions, but they're playing an East division game. So let's say East Interplay. All right, so it's going to schedule that. So early in the season, we play the lower division games first. Then we play the upper division games. Okay, and then later into the season, okay, let's go into a later month here. Let's say August. Yeah, so let's say mid-season, they start playing interleague games. Okay, so let's say East and versus West games. All right, so then finally you cap off the season, then you go back to your lower level division games. Okay, that's when you're starting to fight for your playoff positions. Okay, so now we're going back to our lower division games and so on. So it doesn't schedule your playoff games yet because it doesn't make sense to. It schedules your season games. Okay, so once you play enough games and you have enough information to do your playoff seeding, then some more buttons will come up later first, if you like the schedule, click confirm schedule. Let's say you didn't like the schedule that I came up with, you can click on delete all. All right, but let's say we like this schedule. So let's confirm the schedule. All right, so once that is locked in, then you can share the schedule as a PDF file and email it to all the teams. So just tap on share schedule. All right, then email that to the teams. Right, and also you can import here CSV file following that schedule CSV file that we saw in the simple example. You can do that here if you want to manually import games, but here we automatically created them. Or let's say if you had new games, you can import them in that way. Or let's say if you have some box scores you want to import in for the games that exist in this league, you can import the CSV here. All right. And if you want to export CSV, you could do that too, to export, all of that in that schedule CSV format that we showed. All right, and here we can schedule new game manually if we need, but we don't need that because we automatically schedule their games. Okay, so that's the interface there. And again, when you play enough games, then you could do playoff seeding and brackets as well, which we may cover in a full separate tutorial because that can be a more advanced topic. Okay, so lastly, just to review again, we have backup snapshots. So one thing you can be assured of is before you import in any zip files or whatever case, it may do this automatically for you, but you may want to create a backup snapshot first of all of your data. And when you import stuff, who knows, sometimes you might mess something up. And if you mess something up, then you can go back to a previous snapshot of the data before you imported all that data. Okay, so that's the use of backup snapshots here. Okay, and with that said, in this tutorial we showed how to import zip files. We began with a simple case with a simple zip file, and then we showed a more advanced case with divisions for doing automatic game scheduling if you have many teams. All right, and with that said, I appreciate your time and see you next time.